Section 4. The quantum fingerprint. 1. Subatomic particles as 4D objects. In our daily lives, we operate under the assumption that everything we touch, from the tools in a shop to the very air we breathe, is strictly three-dimensional. However, when we peer through the microscope of quantum mechanics, we encounter behaviors that defy every rule of the 3D logic and classical physics. We see particles that can be in two places at once, particles that react to one another across vast distances instantly, and particles that tunnel through solid walls. To the traditional scientists, this is quantum weirdness. But within the framework of the interface, there is a much simpler explanation. Subatomic particles are four-dimensional objects. They may have spoke and stand, but they don't need to spoke you. 2. The flat land perspective. To understand how a 4D object looks in a 3D world, we must look at the concept of flat land, a theoretical 2D world. If a 3D sphere passes through a 2D plane, the inhabitants of that plane wouldn't see a sphere. They will see a circle that mysteriously appears, grows in size, and then shrinks into nothingness. They will perceive it as a glitch or a miracle because they lack the perspective to see the object's depths. To the 2D observer, the sudden arrival of this higher data hits their reality like a shock wave. But this is just a truth they aren't calibrated to handle. Similarly, we are 3D observers looking at the cross-section of 4D objects. When we see a particle tunnel through a solid barrier, it hasn't actually passed through the matter. Instead, it has used a false spatial axis to step over or around the 3D wall, re-entering our slice of reality on the other side. What we call quantum tunneling is simply a 4D object exercising its native permissions. 3. Entanglement, the higher connection. One of the most famous developer signatures in the code of the universe is quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, their states remain linked regardless of the distance between them. If you change the spin of one, the other changes instantly, even if it is on the other side of the galaxy. In a 3D interface, this seems impossible because it appears to violate the speed of light. However, if these particles are 4D objects, they aren't truly separate. Imagine a person dipping two fingers into a pool of water. To a 2D water bag of the surface, those fingers look like two separate, unconnected circles. But above the surface, in the third dimension, they are part of the same hand. Entangled particles are the fingertips of the 4D realm. They appear separate in our 3D interface, but in the fourth dimension, they are part of a single unified structure. This suggests that the very base code of our world is built on a higher dimensional foundation. 4. The cursor in the code. If subatomic particles are 4D, they act as the bridge between the developer and the interface. We as micro objects are vast collections of these particles locked into a 3D shape, which limits our mobility. But the individual particles retain the permissions of the higher dimension. This explains why we cannot find the crater with a telescope We are looking for a 3D being within the game when the creator is interacting with the system through the 4D cursor of quantum mechanics. We are trying to see the hand by only looking at the fingerprints it leaves in the 3D dust. By recognizing these particles as 4D anchors, we begin to see the ladder that leads from our physical bodies up to the 12-dimensional reality of the soul.